what we'll cover today, what our slides are geared towards, is successful management of site activities. And we're going to talk about some very practical skills, what's expected of a CRA. So what is the job description for what we're supposed to do? And what I don't have a lot of in here is the fact that the regulations are changing. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the fact that we now also have risk-based monitoring and maybe talk about how that might affect CRAs as we move forward and what the expectations might be. We'll also talk about strategies for managing multiple projects simultaneously, as this is probably the most likely scenario. Some companies will be based therapeutically, so you'll have all of the therapeutic indications within a certain geographic area, which might mean half the United States, but at least you'll stick to one protocol or to a couple different protocols. And then some companies are regionally based, and I've worked in both scenarios. So when I was regionally based, I had probably about 23 different protocols. That's very unusual. I actually ended up having 40 sites with 23 protocols. It was a very long time ago, and it was extremely stressful, which was why I ended up moving on to another position or another company. But probably more common, and what I have experienced in more recent years, is that you could have up to about 12, 15 sites with maybe 5 or 6 different protocols, might be a typical scenario. So the fact is that you will be juggling quite a bit of different projects. So having to know how to prioritize, how to figure out what to do day to day, and how to really understand your protocols so that every time you go to the site, you are still the expert. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also give you some tips for how to thrive while traveling, because traditionally, to be a clinical research associate meant that you would be on the road quite a bit. And as noted, with risk-based monitoring and maybe a focus on doing more remote monitoring or centralized monitoring of data, having maybe less time on site, less time on the road, might change a little bit. But the simple fact is that we really, in general, are road warriors. And especially with a lot of the travel restrictions and flight delays and things like that, we'll just give you some very practical tips.